with us. This is the Success and Money Foundation. And most of you need to learn how to make more money. Step number one is to make more money. You do that with a job, but you also do it with a small business. And our goal is to turn that small business into a large business. So we want to talk about the 25 rules of thumb. This is number 14, which is turn your inventory often. There's all kinds of wonderful classes all about your business. Simply go to number two, and then from there, it'll say earn rewards, and you can go down there and look at the different classes on business. And so this is one on business, and I'm going to turn over to Kurt Mortensen. We're going to be talking about rule of thumb number 14.
Good to have you back for another Rules of Thumb from the Academy for Creating Enterprise. This time we're going to get into turning your inventory often. Something that's very important, something that can always affect your profit. This is Rule of Thumb number 14. As we talk about your business, your side hustle, what you're building. Remember, we're starting, we're growing, we're expanding, and we're always giving back, helping out, making the world a better place. So let's talk about your inventory. Does it expire? Does it rot? Is it seasonal? Does it go out of fashion? All these things are important for you to understand. Let's get into a case study with Martha. So Martha purchased watermelon and other fruits to sell in her small store. During that same week, the weather in her city suddenly changed from hot to cold. Martha noticed that people didn't want to eat fresh fruit on cold days. As a result, she was about to lose her inventory of watermelon and the money she paid for it. She had an idea to make a fancy stand for the watermelons and put it in the front where customers would see it as they first came in the store. She also made a sign showing an attractive offer for the fruit. Martha hoped that now she could sell the watermelon before it started to rot. So think about that. I mean, she couldn't control the weather, went from hot to cold, but she didn't give up. She didn't panic. She tried some new techniques, from location to a new sign. Are there other things that Martha could do to turn her inventory of the watermelon? Maybe she could offer a discount. Maybe she could package it with another item. Be creative, think about it. And think about what the advantage of turning your inventory often. When you're turning it, you're making more of a profit. Because the worst thing to do is to buy a watermelon and have to throw it away. So when things expire or rot or need to be sold that week, that day, that month, obviously if you're not able to sell those, even though you got them at a great price, you are losing money. So it's very advantageous to turn your inventory often and keep track of your inventory and understand how inventory works. So let's listen to another voice, a video from YouTube about inventory basics. This is James Shores of Fishbowl, and inventory can be very simple to very complex. And he kind of shoots in the middle. Now this depends on your product, your service, what you're offering to the marketplace, but these are all things that you will eventually need to think about. From your store inventory, where are you going to store it? Do you have room? To the ability to quickly identify your inventory, then to have a plan. How are you going to use this inventory? And then how are you going to keep records? How are you going to record your inventory? So let's do it.
Hi, I'm James. This is Whiteboard Wednesday. My boss gave me 90 seconds to explain all this or I lose my job. Great! Inventory basics. Obviously, you're going to be getting stuff from some vendor or supplier to your business, you're putting on your shelf, and either redistributing or producing a new product, or a little bit of both. What do we do about our location? We can either have it on site and on hand, we can have it off site if we're starting small, or there's even the option of drop ship, or a little bit of all. Identify, this is really important with our inventory. We need to make sure we're using stop keeping unit, known as a SKU. Making sure we ID label everywhere that we can so that we know exactly what we have, where we have it. It's going to take a little more time in the beginning, but then you're not looking and searching. You know where stuff belongs, whether you're taking it down or putting it back up. Units of measure. Are you dealing in pounds? Are you dealing in the metric system? Are you dealing with ounces? Know what you're counting. Also know, are you counting by tens? Are you counting by the box, the individual part? Something that small can really mess you up. Know what your system is. Plan. What kind of plan do you have in place as to how you are using your inventory management? Are you trying to push each item through and hit an allotted certain number every quarter, production week, whatever it is? Or are you pulling it through? Relative to every order you receive, that's when you make your product. This requires a little bit more input from your computer. In fact, a lot more. Let's get to that. Records. Are you doing it on paper? Sure, it's easy to start with. It's very cheap, but then you have to keep track of all of that, all those files, all that information. And if you plan on growing, that's going to be a nightmare when you have to make the transition to the computer, where you can have everything on hand, all your files in one place. And if you make use of the cloud, boom, you've got backup storage and you don't have to worry about losing files, even if something happens to your business computer. So, inventory basics. These are simple things, but if you're not making use of them or even planning for them, well, you're planning to fail or something like that. I don't know. I only had 90 seconds. I hope I don't run out of time.
So you can see it can be very basic to very complex. A lot of things to think about. The one thing you can't do is like, well, I'm not big enough. I'll do it later. We're too small. You need to understand inventory. So as you grow, you have a system in place to be able to track your inventory. Too many small businesses just sell the one that just came in when they've got others that might be 6 months old that need to be sold first. So let's talk about this. Let's get into that expert advice. So let's kind of define what is a turn of your inventory. What does it mean? Well, a turn of your inventory occurs when you sell all of your products. For example, if you purchase an inventory of 50 sandals, you complete a full turn of the inventory when you have sold those 50 sandals. So the more often you turn your inventory, the more profit you can make. Price your products well, regularly count inventory, and keep accurate records of every product purchased so that you can track how often you are turning your inventory and how much you make each time you turn it. You need to treat your inventory like your bank account. Just like when you look at your bank account, you know exactly what's in there. You can see what you've spent. That's your inventory. This inventory has cost you money. You need to treat it like your bank account. Next one, what are the advantages of selling inventory more often? You see, when money is tied up in a slow-moving inventory, the cash is unavailable to the business for other purposes, such as paying bills or buying products that sell faster. Many shopkeepers complain that their biggest cash flow problem is that they simply need more capital. In reality, many just need to sell the slow-moving inventory that they have in their stores. By selling inventory more quickly, the store owners can recapture the capital that was used to buy the inventory, and they can then have more money to use as they need. So let's do an exercise. Let's say Pedro owns a children's clothing retailer. He buys sandals for 60 pesos each and sells them for 100 pesos each. At the beginning of October, he had 800 pairs of sandals in his inventory. He calculates that if he turns his inventory of 800 sandals once during the month, his gross profit is 32,000 pesos. Then calculate what Pedro's gross revenue would be if he turned his inventory 1.5 times during the month and 2 times during the month. So think about these calculations and see what it does to your profit. And does that motivate you to do this for your own business? Not only to increase your profit, but to know the numbers. So remember, Pedro owns a clothing store. He buys sandals for 60 pesos and sells them for 100 pesos. And he has 800 pairs of sandals in his inventory. And if he sells all 800, that's 32,000 pesos. So that would be a normal month. We are looking at what if you just did 50% more, or what if you just doubled that during a month. So let's take a look at this. When you turn your inventory once a month, 1.5 times a month, and twice a month. So we've seen the example of revenue from the sale of the sandal. So 800 times 100 is 80,000 pesos. Cost of buying the sandals is 800 times 60, that's 48,000. So 80,000 is your revenue, 48,000 is your cost. So you take 80,000 and subtract that from 48,000, and that gives you a profit of 32,000. So that's a normal month, turning your inventory once a month. All right. So let's say we do it 1.5 times a month. So we have 1,200 times 100, and that equals 120,000. All right. Then the cost, of course, would be 1,200 times 60. That's 72,000. So that's 120,000 minus 72,000 equals 48,000. So you see, if you subtract that from the 32,000 of just turning your inventory once a month, you're making an extra 16,000 pesos by turning your inventory 1.5 times a month. All right, let's see if we can do it 2 times a month. So 1,600 times 100, that equals 160,000. All right. So our revenue would be 160,000. What would be our cost? Would be 1,600. It's the number of sandals we sold times 60. That's our cost. Each one, that's $96,000. All right, that means we made $160,000. We're going to subtract that from $96,000, and that's going to give us $64,000. Let's subtract that from just doing our 1 time a month versus twice a month of 32,000. That means we're making an extra 32,000. We're doubling our income by doubling the turn of the inventory. Know your numbers. Use a calculator. Treat your inventory like the bank. Know what's coming in, know what's going out. It's critical to understand the importance of turning your inventory. Again, this is money. This is your inventory, especially if you have an inventory, again, that can rot, go bad, that expires, is seasonal, or even goes out of fashion. So how do we move our inventory? How do we turn our inventory? So number 1, inventory management techniques. There's different ones for different types of business. The first one is FIFO, basically first in, first out. Basically, you're storing older inventory in the front of newer inventory to ensure that the oldest items are sold first, minimizing the risk of spoilage or things going obsolete, especially if you're dealing with food or cosmetics or things that expire. Because too many times the inventory comes in, the new inventories, we just put the boxes there, they're in the front. They're the closest to the store. They're the closest to you, and those are the ones you use. You use the oldest ones first. First in, first out. FIFO. Another technique is ABC. Basically, you categorize your inventory into 3 groups based on value and how fast they sell. So A items are high-value, fast-moving items that you're monitoring closely, and you always make sure you have a lot of stock. B items are moderate value and moderate sales, and you maintain moderate levels. C items are low value, they're slow moving. You can minimize your stock levels and consider alternate sales strategies, like bulk discounts. The next thing you can do is more sales, more promotions. For example, you can do seasonal sales, where you offer significant discounts on seasonal items as the season starts to end to turn that inventory quickly. For example, if you were doing clothing or selling summer clothing, you would have a big sale at the end of summer. Or if you had Christmas decorations, you would have a big sale after Christmas and offer a big discount so you didn't have to have those in your inventory till next Christmas. And people would be willing to buy those at a discount because they would be willing to store them till next Christmas and pay you for that opportunity. You can do a flash sale where you create a sense of urgency with these quick, limited time flash sales on the items that you need to sell. You can also do bundle discounts. You can offer discounts on products when purchased together. So maybe there's something they want right now, and you can add a slower moving item with that. Or suggest complimentary products to a customer during the checkout process. You know, customers who bought this item have also bought this item. Maybe you're stuck with a lot of inventory. You could try some B2B sales. That's business to business. So if you have too much inventory, you need to get rid of it. You need to sell it. Talk to other businesses that might need it, that might be willing to store it. It could be a wholesaler. It could be a competitor. It could be a discount store. or other people in your area that be willing to carry that item that you have too much of, or that's about to expire. And then think about online stores or flea markets. So a flea market's also known as a swap meet. They have them online, they have them in your community, basically where people get together and sell things. They have this type of thing online, like Facebook has it. Local communities use certain websites to sell things online. Platforms like eBay, Amazon, Etsy often sell excess inventory or discontinued items. If you can't sell them locally, these internet platforms can reach a wider audience and help you move slow-moving stock quickly. Plus, if you go to a flea market, a swap meets, someplace in the community, you're getting a different audience that might be more willing to purchase your products and you'll be able to sell more. So when you do one of these or all four of these, you implement these strategies, you can effectively manage your inventory, turn your inventory, and reduce those holding costs. And it improves cash flow. Remember, you're always reviewing and adjusting your inventory. Now, this has to be specific to you, your business, your community, and market conditions. So, time for a fable. The Tailor and the Moth-Eaten Cloth. So, in this busy town lived a tailor named Silas. Silas was known for his fine suits, and he made them from the finest fabrics. However, Silas had a bad habit. He would buy large quantities of cloth, believing that having a surplus would ensure he always had enough for his customers. I mean, that's good thinking. Enough for his customers, enough for a rainy day. But the challenge was his workshop overflowed with bolts of vibrant silk, wool, and linen. And as time passed, the vibrant colors of the fabrics began to fade. Dust settled on the rolls, and moths began to feast on the neglected cloth. Silas, preoccupied with other matters, paid little attention to this, didn't think it was a big deal. One day, a wise old merchant named Brewster visited Silas's shop. He noticed the moth-eaten cloth and the overflowing shelves. He said, "Silas, your beautiful fabrics are slowly wasting away. You must turn your inventory more quickly. Buy only what you need and sell it promptly." Now, I like that Silas was preparing for that rainy day. There wasn't enough, but it was wasting. It was rotting. The moths were eating it. Dust was ruining it, and the colors were fading to the point he had to throw them out. That's not where you need to be in your business. So your homework: how can you keep track of your inventory? Can you do a better job? Can you use some of these techniques? At least use a piece of paper. Can you automate it on a phone app, on your computer? That's the first thing, is keeping track of your inventory and understanding what needs to be sold first. And if you're wasting money, by keeping it as inventory. The next question is, how can you turn your inventory more often? Remember those numbers. Turning your inventory once a month. Can you turn it twice a month? Can you turn it every week? Can you double that? The faster you turn your inventory, you're not wasting money, you're selling more, and that increases your profit. So there you have it. That's your rule of thumb. Turn your inventory more often for the Academy of Creating Enterprise. Don't fall into that mistake. I'm too small, it doesn't matter. It's in my brain. No, it has to be written down, it has to be on a computer. This is like your bank account. Keep track of your inventory, turn it more often, increase your profit, and it'll make a big difference in your future success.
Thanks, Kurt. And we really appreciate the Academy for Creating Enterprise. They have some wonderful groups. They have over 1,000 chapters all over the world. And so one of the things we do is we deliver content online. And if you go to search the-academy.com or .org, you can see where they have chapters all over the world. And we highly recommend that you find a chapter and start going face-to-face, toe-to-toe into those groups so you can hang out with other people that are doing the same thing. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be right back.